I'll admit, it's been way too long since I've watched a Transformers series. The last full Transformers series I watched was Transformers Armada. So, let's talk about Transformers 1. Welcome back to the Shield Network. I am your host, Bad News Harris. My apologies, Vegeta. And, well, granted, I'm not the most knowledgeable of Transformers fans. Like I said before the intro, my last full experience with the Transformers series from beginning to end was in fact Transformers Armada from I think 2007, 2005. Early aughts. And though, of course, I have typical knowledge of Transformers as a fan of the last 38 years. I guess I can't say 38 years because I am 38 and it was released in 85, 86, and I was born in 86. So you get the point. Point is, I've been a Transformers fan for a long time and I have my general knowledge just like any other Transformers fan. But Primus becoming Cybertron in the beginning, but I was under the impression that Cybertron was already there. Primus just merged with it after the war with Unicron, and then populated the planet through the Allspark. For the most part, that's what happens, except for in Transformers 1, Primus ends up transforming himself into Cybertron, and then populating the planet that way. And, well, no complaints there. We get Orion Pax in the beginning, same thing with D something or other, just call him Megatron because that's who he's gonna be. And then we've got Alita, who I think eventually is who becomes RC on Earth. But since this is long before they ever travel to Earth, because this is before the Autobot-Decepticon War, I think she's just still Alita. First things first, the movie itself, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. Mind you, my videos are mostly about me nitpicking while I am describing the movie as we go, but that's just because every fan's gonna nitpick as they go through a new source material of one of their fandoms. So, what I usually try to do is I try to go into a movie that I know history of by ignoring the source material so I can enjoy it for what it is, and then I make the comparisons and complaints later. Unfortunately, as much as I love to have that mindset going into a brand new movie, that's how I went into Dragon Ball Evolution, and that's how I went into the Last Airbender. But I couldn't separate myself like that this time for some reason. I was complaining through the whole damn thing. Still had fun, but I still complained. But, what can I say? I'm a complainer. Mind you, I mostly complain for fun. I hate to complain when there's an actual reason to do so. Let's ignore that. Transformers 1. It starts off, of course, we meet Orion Pax, who eventually becomes Optimus. We meet pre-Megatron, Megatron. I mean, I could just call him D for the entire thing, like Pax did, but it's just annoying. So I'm just gonna call him Megatron and Orion Pax until Orion Pax becomes Optimus at the end of the movie. We start off, we get the history of Orion Pax and the history of pre-Megatron by following how they became friends and the minds underneath Cybertron's surface. Because, according to legend in this movie, the Allspark, or the Matrix of Leadership disappeared after Orion, or I'm not. The Matrix of Leadership disappeared after Primus transformed himself into Cybertron. And all of the Transformers are forced underground to mine for Energon because Energon stopped flowing once the Matrix of Leadership disappeared. Well, Sentinel Prime has himself an army on the surface searching for Energon. And, well, no, not searching for Energon, my apologies, searching for the Matrix. And right away, it's obvious that Primus, or that Sentinel Prime, is the villain. I mean, we all know about the Quintessence. They explain how the Quintessence were the mortal enemies of the Cybertronians, and how sorry, I'm watching suspicious things out of my office window. Anyway, it's obvious that Primus is the villain because he's keeping everyone underground while he is searching for the Matrix of Leadership. Well, as Orion Pax realizes that he wants to do more than just be a miner, he, of course, wraps up pre-Megatron to go on their adventure to look for the Matrix of Leadership, because we meet him in, like, the movie starts with him sneaking into a storage database looking for information about the lost Matrix of Leadership, which leads him and Dee into a mining shift, which is managed by Alita. And, well, I do this, you guys can see it, but I'm pointing at an Alita poster because we have an Alita poster and a Megatron poster from the fan event. But anyway, and after some shenanigans down there, she gets fired, blah blah blah. She ends up joining Orion and pre-Megatron on their adventure, which they eventually find themselves on the surface, having no troubles until they run into Quintessence and some of Sentinel's soldiers. Well, Pax, pre-Megatron, and Alita flee from the Quintessence attack and stuff like that on the surface and end up in the gravesite for all of the Primes that ended up perishing looking for the Matrix, or because of the war with Unicron, or the war with the Quintessence. I don't know, they never said Unicron's name once, yet there was a Prime with Unicron's face. Like literally Unicron's face. And then we also added an extra Prime named Megatronus Prime. So Megatron can have himself a name whose, once again, face is shaped like the Decepticon logo? Like, when the hell did this happen? And, well, they end up finding and resurrecting one of the old Primes, who ends up telling them that Sentinel, in fact, is not a Prime, and he's the reason why all of this is going on. He murdered the other Primes. He's looking for the Matrix himself so he can continue to oppress the remainder of the Transformers. After learning about the trio, he captures, after Orion and Alita get away, he still has pre-Megatron, and since he sees that there's a Megatronus decal sticker on his shoulder that Pax gave him earlier in the movie, he takes it, slams it on his chest, and we get the origin of the Decepticon logo, because Sentinel takes a welding gun and literally carves the Decepticon logo into Megatron's chest, which, again, gives us the origin of the Decepticon logo, which kind of doesn't make sense to me, because the logos are supposed to be morphable, because they can change from Autobot to Decepticon to whatever the hell else. I mean, I'm pretty sure they could shift it into a Minicon logo if they wanted to, but neither here nor there. We'll just use this as an example as the origin. Speaking of fucking origins, we find that the origin of the Decepticons underground as freedom fighters against Sentinel Prime, led by goddamn Starscream. Fuck yes, Starscream! It's not exactly a secret. Starscream has always been, and will always be, my favorite of all Transformers. He's a genius, he's tactical, he's cunning, and he hides it all behind cowardice. Just nothing but respect for Starscream. Though a lot of people hate him because he is in fact a bitch, but again, he uses cowardice for his strategies. Makes sense. I love Starscream. Anyway, granted, once pre-Megatron starts, like, once he finds out the truth about Sentinel Prime and how Sentinel murdered the other Primes, including Megatronus Prime, D starts going insane. His entire worldview is flipped upside down, so instead of now being the miner that he always was, now he wants to take things into his own hands because he doesn't want to be a slave. And he's angry at the world because his entire worldview was destroyed, which stereotypical villain origin story. I get it. I'm okay with that. And his evolution into Megatron was fucking sick. Once they finally got their cores for transformation, because we find out that Sentinel Prime rips the transformation core out of every new Transformer as they're being built, so they don't have the opportunity to transform. That's why there are so many miners down below and none upstairs. Well, as the trio get their cores back, and as the remainder of Transformers begin to get their cores back, transformations start happening out the freaking wazoo. Which also begins to make zero sense to me, because I've always been under the impression that Transformers need a reference to copy it into their transformations. Optimus Prime needed a truck to transform into a truck. Megatron was always a cannon, gun, whatever, until censorship forced him to be a tank. Starscream wasn't a jet until they came to Earth and he scanned a fighter jet, as far as I was under the impression of. But like I said, it's been like 20-ish years since I've watched a full Transformers series, and, well, liberties are made. What can I say? Especially creative liberties, and to be fair, like I always say, I tried going into this without using the original source material as a reference in my own brain. I mean, all in all, it's really fun. And when Megatron finally gets his arm cannon, holy crap, because originally he doesn't have it, and even when he gets his transformation core, he doesn't have it. He doesn't get it until his fight with fucking Orion Pax, which, by the way, is sick as hell, and I'm going to point out that every physical fight that actually came to an end between Optimus and Megatron, pretty sure Megatron's always been the physical winner, unless somebody walks away. And I don't consider there being a winner if one of the combatants walks away. Or Megatron almost always does. Optimus almost never does. And this was no exception. He bait the living crap out of Orion Pax, got his cannon, shot the fucking hell out of him, and the only reason Pax even survived was because during his death drop, Primus chose him to be the leader of the Autobot, or of the Cybertronians, and gave him the Matrix of Leadership, which transforms him into Optimus Prime. And, well, that's when the fight between him and Megatron turns, and D finally declares that his name is going to be Megatron. The fight continues, but obviously, because of plot armor, Optimus gets the upper hand, but like the naive dumbass that Optimus has always been, he lets him go. Obviously, it's basically a Charles Xavier, Eric Lyncher situation where they're always going to be friends on the inside, so they can't well, Optimus won't be able to finish the Megatron off. Not exactly the case for Megatron, because I've seen Megatron murder Optimus on multiple occasions. But neither here nor there. We end the movie with Megatron calling all of the Decepticons who are still yet to be called Decepticons. They're still, I can't remember what they call themselves, but they're basically just underground freedom fighters who join with Megatron at the end, and then they flee because Optimus exiles Megatron from their capital city, which basically becomes how the war begins. And then we get, of course, the ending monologue with the original sounding Optimus Prime voice. I can't tell if it's Neil Kaplan or if it's who the original was, because it's Chris Hemsworth that voices Orion Pax, and I don't know if they just give him a voiceover change when he turns into Optimus, because his voice gradually changes from a energetic teen-like Transformer into the battle-worn and mature Optimus Prime. Ow, that fucking hurts. Anyway. And at the end, of course, we have the Optimus Prime monologue. And blah. Cuts. Granted, I didn't give a whole lot of detail in this movie. Mostly it's because I want to describe the movie and that it's fun and what goes on, but I also want you to go see it without me giving a lot of detail like I do normally in my movie reviews. But, like I said, there's nothing really to complain about unless you're a Transformers purist, and then you're going to complain a lot. But as a movie that I originally thought was directed towards kids, was targeted for kids, no, there is cursing all over the place in this damn movie, so it is definitely not a kids movie. It's a family movie maybe, but not a kids movie specifically, like I was going to say like Transformers originally is, but in the very first animated Transformers movie in 1986, we literally hear Megatron say, "Die, Autobots." So, it's always been a more mature family show. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we went on the day before pre-release, because pre-opening day was the 19th and we saw it on the 18th. So, and granted, we also kind of missed like the first 5 minutes because we had to come back home, get Ember, then go to the movie theater, and then we had to exchange our upstairs tickets for downstairs tickets because the theater we went to doesn't allow anyone under the age of 21 upstairs, even though she was just a baby. Neither here nor there. Still got in, still got to watch the movie, still had fun. It was great. Go watch it. And if you have seen it, what did you think? Give me your opinions in the comment section below. But for now, I'm going to get off and spend some time with my baby, because she is taking a nap right now, so I took advantage to take the video. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Everything the bottom corner tells you to do. I think it's going to be that one, actually. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bad News Harris, out.